Neurons are cells that receive and send messages between the body and the brain. The brain has about 100 billion neurons, all right, which are the basic working units of the nervous system. Neurotransmitters send chemical messages between the neurons. A neurotransmitter called dopamine helps the flow of information to the front of the brain, which is linked to the thoughts and emotion part of your brain. Thoughts and emotion, okay? It is also linked to the place they call the reward center, nucleus accumbens. Now it says here, sex is pleasure, and our brain is hardwired to seek pleasure. That's what it's meant to do, to seek pleasure, right? Every time we receive pleasure, whether it be from sex, drugs, food, or simply a pat on the back for a job well done, the brain reward centers are immediately activated. In other words, dopamine rushes into the reward center and they get immediately activated. Just even with a pat on the back, even with somebody just praising you or saying, I love you, and all those kind of things, or sex, or food that you love so much, the dopamine rushes in there and you get the feeling, tingly feeling in your head, and your body starts feeling so good with you. The neurotransmitter responsible for all things pleasurable is called dopamine. Dopamine is released from a tiny nucleus located deep within our primitive limbic brain called the ventral tegmental area. So let's go down to the business now. You've seen what God said about us. God created us. God is a master creator. He created man. He gave us a brain. And the brain has a place that is called the reward center, or in science, it is called the nucleus accumbens, okay? The nucleus accumbens is a place where you have a cluster of so many nerve cells who receive information from dopamine. Dopamine is the transporter, okay? Of course, you can see the brain has more than 100 billion neurons. So who transports messages from one neuron to another? Who takes messages from the brain to the body and from the body to the brain? It is dopamine. Dopamine is the transporter. I don't know whether to call dopamine DHL or UPS or FedEx. I don't know. But that is the guy who does the courier service. So somebody comes to touch you, maybe your husband, and he touches you in a way, your whole body goes on fire. It is dopamine that rushes into the reward center to give you that feeling of, I am on fire. Suddenly your guards are lowered. You are a man and a woman touches you and you feel like, oh, you don't even know the meaning of your name anymore. It is because dopamine has rushed into the reward center. Now, God created these many receptors that are located inside the reward center, which is called the nucleus accumbens. God created so many receptors to receive the touch on your body, to receive the one from food, to receive the one from, hey, I love you, to receive different kind of pleasurable things. Different receptors have the job to do it, and they come naturally. So what happens is that when you're having normal natural sex, okay, dopamine goes at a level that is so organic and natural and goes there, and when you're done, it flows back and then everything goes to normal. So dopamine release is not in excess, because this is a normal, natural thing. You eat a good food that you love, what is going to happen is that the reward center will always remind you, remember the taste of that food. So even when you're passing the restaurant, you want to, you remember the taste. That is the reward center reminding you of that food. If you had sex with somebody, it tells you, remember that sex was so good, you need to go get another. The reward center always sends you on an errand when you give it dopamine, because it was programmed to always receive dopamine. Anything that you do to give it dopamine, it sends you on an errand to go and get more of that thing. Now, what happens when you watch porn? When you start watching pornography, what happens is that, first of all, an excessive amount of dopamine is sent into the reward center. It overwhelms the place. And the reward center, he battles a little bit to deal with it, and then there's a lot of mixed information going on, and then everything, he just sends the reward center into some kind of overdrive. The reward center begins to fight to cope. And then you try it another time. There's an overwhelming amount of dopamine released to the reward center again. And this thing keeps going on, because what you see in pornography is not the same thing that happens when you are with a natural person. Because pornography is a hybridization of the natural process of sex. Pornography is not natural. Pornography is fantasy. It is a genetically modified version of what God created to be a decent, organic, natural process. So that's why the reaction in your brain is too much. The dopamine that it produces is too much. And when it does like that, a few days, you know what happens? Your brain suddenly shuts down all those receptors that were created by God to receive those little nice pleasures that you were getting. Like you see your wife and she's walking out of the bathroom, just wearing towel alone, your whole body's on fire, you want to make love. All of that, all those receptors that give you that, all of them will shut down. All the receptors that make you get aroused by natural means of sex, all of them are shut down. The brain instantly shuts all of them down. And then, you know what happens? The brain goes into a serious reset. Your brain now resets itself, and suddenly you are now possessing a different brain altogether. And this is what I call the porn brain. So what happens when you possess a porn brain? I hope you're listening. Please pay attention. This place is very, very important to me. When you have a porn brain, what happens is that something they call the Coolidge effect sets in immediately. Coolidge, Coolidge effect. There's a man called Calvin Coolidge. He was America's president between 1923 and 1929. So there's a story around Calvin Coolidge. He was a very conservative guy. They said that they had a government experimental farm. So when they took him and his wife to go and show them the farm, they took them in different directions into the farm. It was a chicken farm. So when the wife was taken to her own direction, the wife saw a rooster. You know rooster? The rooster was mating frequently. In front of the woman, the rooster has mated several times. And the wife called the farmer and said, how many times does it do this? And the farmer said, well, dozens of times in a day. So the wife told the farmer, I said, tell that to Mr. Coolidge when you see him, to the president when you see him. Can you imagine? So the president, when he came, they now told the president what his wife said. So the president now said, does he mate dozens of times every day with just one hen? No, he said no, with a different hen every time. So it's okay, when you see Mrs. Coolidge, tell her that one too. So you can... So you can imagine what this couple they are doing. So this is the story about how they got the Coolidge effect. Now let me explain the Coolidge effect, what it is. Coolidge effect is when an animal actually has a renewed sexual desire the moment a new sexual partner is introduced. The sexual desire will be renewed. Okay? That's what is called Coolidge effect. You can be with one partner, suddenly you're tired of this partner. The next minute you see a new partner, suddenly, oh my goodness, your whole body is on fire again. Just because that's what they call the Coolidge effect. And in order to sustain the Coolidge effect, you have to continue to seek novelty. Now, because your brain has gone into a serious reset, you are no longer the same person. Your wife who made you get aroused before can no longer do that again. You have a totally different brain now called the porn brain. What happens is that for you to be able to supply enough dopamine into the reward center to get you high and give you that high feeling, you have to flood it with more. You have to, because Coolidge effect has set in now. So the porn that got you before to be aroused is no longer going to get you to be aroused. So you see what is going on now. If you have ever known anything about pornography, this is true. This is what happens. Okay, let me give you an example. You are the person that you like women who have big backside, and that's what you want to watch in your porn. Now, let me tell you, when Coolidge effect sets in, you will see that porn, and it doesn't mean anything to you again. You're tired of it. You're seeking something more. You're seeking novelty, looking for another one that will give you a high. And then you leave that one, you go to another one, you enjoy that one, you get the high, dopamine rushes in, and then you come. After that, after a day or two, you're tired of that one again. You notice what is happening now? You have now entered the place where you can't stay too long on a particular porn. You have to seek a new kind of porn, and in fact a more terrible one, a more dangerous one, that will be able to give you dopamine rush into your reward center, because all the receptors for natural thing has gone. So everything you're doing now is unnatural. And as you're doing this, you are destroying your brain more and more. So that's where you see people. You know what is happening at this moment? At this moment, you are going through the process of desensitization. You are being desensitized. This moment, you're already suffering from depression. You're already suffering from erectile dysfunction. In other words, when your brain becomes a porn brain, you cannot get erection except you are in front of the TV or your computer watching porn. So the only erection you get now is when you watch porn. The same thing happens for women too. A man is going to kill himself trying to get you to come. Nothing. But when you see porn, 2 seconds, you are down here. It is all in the brain. That's how you're going to keep descending, like Alice in the Wonderland. You keep going into the rabbit hole. You keep going. The big backside is no longer doing it for you. Now you have gone to big breast. The big breast is not doing it anymore. Or now you go to flat backside. It doesn't work. You do that. Within 1 hour, you have seen more than 1,000 porns. That's why your brain quickly resets. Because no normal brain can handle up to the number of porns that you get access to in 1 hour within an hour in a real life. So the brain had to reset because this is not natural. Do you know how many videos you get access to within just 2 hours in real life? Can you do sex with this many women in your life? No! That's why the brain reset. So now you are seeking novelty, because your brain has shut down all the natural receptors. So you're seeking novelty. You move from there. The flat breath is not going. Okay, now, maybe originally when you started watching porn, you say, oh no, I don't want to watch the porn with the children. I don't want to watch all this child pornography. Now you want it, and you want even the bloody one. You want something more deep, something deeper, something harder. You want it harder. And the more harder, when you get it hard, it gives you dopamine. You come again hard, dopamine. Tomorrow, the hard that you had yesterday was 70 degrees. Now you want 90 degrees. Before you know it, 100 degrees. You keep going until you start condoning even sex between man and man, woman and woman. Something you never could have imagined that you will condone. Because you are seeking dopamine into your reward center. That is how your brain actually suddenly resets. You don't have any erection anymore. You don't have love for your wife again. No sexual, nothing. Even when you see nothing means anything to you until you come in front of the computer to watch porn. Can you imagine how your natural intelligence has been shut down? This is why you have been labeled a zombie. At this moment, what you are going through, you are suffering from what is called the porn-induced erectile dysfunction. And scientists have clearly said from every research that I've looked at, they said that the only way out is when the man suddenly says, enough is enough. Do you know that almost 80% of the people who left from being ordinary heterosexual men to becoming homosexuals, this is how they became homosexuals and became gays? Because the moment you are fully desensitized, 360 degrees of desensitization, and those things you have been able to go and watch even porn, suddenly your brain will start telling you, you know what? It doesn't even matter. Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. What's the big deal? And then you will give it a try. You will start probably with an anal sex with a woman and then with another man, and before you know it, you are a full-blown homosexual. This is where it starts from. Desensitization of your brain. Through porn. There is addiction that comes with food. This is the same thing that happens with food. They take genetically modified food and junk food. They put all kinds of addictive nonsense inside junk food. When you eat it, it gives you an unusually high amount of dopamine. And then you want more and more and more until your brain shuts down all the natural receptors. That's why you see people so overweight and so big. You see what is happening? Desensitization of your brain through porn. The there is something called delta force B? Did you write it down or you want to write it now? It's like a protein that accumulates in that part of the brain, which actually whenever it accumulates, you know that somebody has now finally slid into addiction, a cocaine addiction. This thing has been found only in heroin, found only in cocaine. Guess what? They found out that porn addiction secretes delta force B. So porn addiction now is being treated on the same line as cocaine and heroin addiction. Please do your own personal research. If you know any neuroscientist anywhere in the world, tell them, take my video, show them. Tell them, is this guy telling the truth or is he lying? Pornography is being treated. So when you look at someone who is a cocaine addict and you are addicted to porn, all of you are the same. That's why your marriage, your relationship is dismembering, is falling, is dying a natural death. And you see, God is so faithful. You don't even need any prayer. You know what you need? Do you know what you need? Do you know what you need? Beat your chest today and say, never again. Enough is enough. There is a type of anger that when it rushes into you, you feel like going to grab the devil and smashing his head on the wall. So this is what you have been doing to me, devil. This is what pornography is. Do you know that pornography was created as a mind control mechanism? Did you know that? That it wasn't just made for fun. Intelligence community, they know what I'm telling you. It was created as a mind control mechanism to usher in the spirit. Did I not give you the spiritual implications? We are here talking about the neurological part of it. Did I not tell you the spiritual implications? How pornography will activate people all over the world and everybody will begin to emit energy, satanic energy that they are using to come down and take over our world and destroy us. You're going to have a life, a world where human beings are wiped out and machines, demons will take over. We're going there right now. Follow me. So when you are withdrawing, let me give you, before we go to the other one, when you are withdrawing from porn, be aware. Let me tell you right now, there is something that is going to happen to you. It is natural. That's why I say, women, men, help your spouses. Please don't get angry. Help them. You're going to get to a point where even when you are withdrawing, you know, everything, when you are addicted to drug and you're withdrawing, you have what you call the withdrawal syndrome. You're going to have a withdrawal syndrome. One of the most prominent withdrawal syndromes is what they call the flat line. Flat line is when you are withdrawing and suddenly you find out like you don't have appetite for anything sensual anymore. Completely. It's as if you are now dead. At that moment, everybody close to you should help the person. Just take it easy with him. Will be like you're having frustration, like as if you're depressed, you know, some kind of depression. When it happens that way, relax. The prayer I'm going to pray for you today is that God will not allow your flat line to extend for far too long. That it should be short, that it should be probably 2 weeks, because some people's own can last for 6 months. You know why you're having flat line? Because your brain is going through that torturous journey of now having to reprogram itself again to the natural way that God made it, so that it can activate the natural receptors. That way, you will notice that after a very short while, your wife that couldn't give you erection anymore, you will just see her walking through the door, you want to go and jump in, and when you go, no erectile dysfunction. You didn't take any medication, just withdrawing from porn. This is why we have to be very careful and seek knowledge. The Bible says, my people die due to lack of knowledge. That's what kills our people. We have come to a point in human history where you don't just tell people, the Bible say, the Bible say. No, let's dig deeper. Dig deeper and find out knowledge and share it with our people. It's not the Bible say. Children don't want to hear the Bible say. We are now in a jet age. Everything you say, you prove it. That's why it takes me so much to come out to talk to you guys. It takes so much research because I gotta prove it. Porn is one of the strongest weapons they have used to bring man to a place of 0 to 0 point, so that now we are regarded as worthless, people who need to be discarded so that artificial intelligence can take over. Now, why did the devil send the porn to children? Because the energy of children through innocence is so potent and so powerful that harnessing it at that tender age means that you can actually live for a very long time. They steal it for anything they want to do. So this has always been about the harnessing of energy. You have been a walking oil well. The demons have been harnessing and making you feel like you are having fun. But meanwhile, they have been exploiting you. It's like what the white people, especially Europeans, have been doing in Africa. They come to Africa, they steal our money, and then they go around and turn around and use the money to give us aid and make us owe them. But every money we have, without our money, 99% of them will not survive. But they will steal it from Africa and then turn around and give you aid. Why? Because there are foolish, brainless human beings in politics in Africa, especially Nigeria, who will not use their brain and say, if I die, I die. They are the descendants of Lucifer. That's why Lucifer behaves like this, and that's why they're doing the same thing. Descendants of Lucifer. In Igbo land, they say a snake will never give birth to something that is not long. Or something like that. I don't know. Yes. If a snake cannot give birth to something that is not long like that, they are descendants of Lucifer.